your local realtor here in Reno Sparks. I'm here again with Jessica. Jessica's with Guild Mortgage. And today we're about to get real with credit. So, is your credit score holding you back from buying a home? I know it's probably one of the first things people think about, like, ooh, how's my credit looking, right? So, we want to talk about strategy and just not shame, right? So, Jessica, go ahead and walk us through like why does credit matters in homeownership?
Yeah, so credit score is a very important aspect of the credit approval to purchase a home, just because every single different loan program available to you has different credit score requirements. So if you don't meet those credit score requirements, then they won't consider you for the loan until you do. So that's why it's really important. But credit score isn't everything when it comes to loan approval. And also, as opposed to like what many people think, you don't have to have an
Mhm.
excellent credit score to qualify for a home.
There you go. So I hope just by saying that puts some people at ease to like
Hmm.
even try, because a lot I feel like that's one of the big limiters when it comes to starting.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
I was going to mention, I think what is very important to consider when you are thinking about credit score and whether your credit score is good enough to qualify for a loan is, are you going to try and qualify for those first time homebuyer programs, down payment assistance programs, or are you able to come up with your own down payment closing costs out of pocket? If that's the case, we'd be talking about different credit score requirements for some of these loans too.
Awesome. So let's talk number.
Mhm.
Can I buy a home with a 620 credit score, or how about like a 580?
Yes. So the FHA, which stands for Federal Housing Administration, it's the most common government loan out there. It does require a minimum 580 credit score. So if you have at least a 580, you can qualify. Actually, fun fact, you can qualify with a 540 credit score. Usually for first time home buyers, 580 is ideal just because if you qualify for that FHA loan with anything below a 580 credit score, you do have to
Mm-hmm.
come up with a hefty down payment, which is a 10% down payment as opposed to a 3.5. So that's why it's not very commonly talked about because it's not really in most people's benefit, right? Or best interest.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, 540, 580, isn't that crazy?
So crazy. And I don't think people, you know, know that. So definitely good pointers right there. What are some quick, wins would you say like to boost credit?
So there are a lot of ways you can boost your credit. Now, I've talked to a gazillion different applicants and they all are worried about credit. I swear there isn't ever one that's not concerned that they might not have a great credit score. And then when we actually look at it together, it turns out it's not as terrible as they thought. So one thing to keep in mind is Credit Karma is not the way to go. That's not going to tell you a real credit score. They
True.
use their own algorithm and they aren't directly connected to the credit bureaus like TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. So they don't know the information that they do. Therefore, you may sometimes see as a very skewed or slightly skewed credit score compared to what is real. Now, the best way to check your credit score is just talk to your local lender because we have the tools to be able to guide you in the right direction. Let's talk credit models because I think that's very important for people to understand that if
Yeah.
you were to apply for like a credit card or a car loan,
Mm-hmm.
your credit score may look way different than what it'll look like on a credit report for a mortgage loan. That's because each report is a different model, so it analyzes different risk factors. The mortgage credit report analyzes the most risk factors out of most. That's why your credit score for a mortgage tends to be slightly lower than what you're used to seeing on your bank app or your FICO score there. You may actually, I don't know, apply for a credit card the month before you apply for a mortgage, and you'll notice a huge difference in credit score. It's because there's different credit score report models that we pull.
Oh, I like that. And I'm sure you can go even deeper with that. And I know a lot of people probably have like questions and stuff regarding it. So if you do, and if you're watching that right now, just go ahead and ask in the comments. I'll be kind of periodically looking into the comments so we can answer them live. Or you can always just, you know, put it on here later as well, and we'll be able to look through the comments later also, because I know people are going
Mhm.
to be tuning in later on the day, if not tomorrow. So that's what I love about this, is that we can address or any questions now or later.
Yeah.
So question, do
Mhm.
late payments ruin your chances of buying? Because I know
Not
sometimes.
necessarily.
Yeah, go ahead.
It can hurt, right? Like that's the thing with credit. It's not very black and white as far as like when qualifying you for a home loan. Some credit, not credit, but loan programs have different thresholds than others. Some
Mm-hmm.
are a little more forgiving compared to others, right? So it just really depends on a case by case basis. So if you have maybe a 2 day late, right? Like your payment is due on the 15th and you paid on the 18th. That's probably not going to affect you terribly, other than the fact that you may have to pay a little tiny late fee to whatever creditor that is. But if you do go 30, so more than 30 days, so 30 days or more from when that payment was due, that automatically appears on the credit report. That's when you're in trouble. That's when your credit score will decline because it's a direct credit score hit.
Okay.
So we
And
want to
then
stay away from any 30-day lates.
right, especially when you're in the process, or, if that's your goal, right? When it comes to home
Exactly.
ownership. So this I've gotten quite a few times. How much do student loans affect home buying approval?
You know, I don't see student loans really being much of a break when it comes to credit approval. If your student loans are deferred, one thing to keep in mind is all loan programs are still going to ask us to calculate a monthly payment towards those student loans. Mostly because we understand that, your mortgage loan is more than likely going to be a standard 30-year loan. Within those 30 years, you're probably going to have to pay back those student loans. So we want to keep in mind that there may be more debt in the future, and that's why we have to include a monthly payment. The monthly payment that we include is different based off of the different loan programs that are out there, but it's not a whole lot, which is why it usually doesn't break a deal for the most part.
I love that. Love to hear that. Yeah, I know a lot of people are asking, people are going to nursing school and all that stuff. And so, but, they would love to buy after they graduate. So that's definitely been one of the questions asked. And
Yeah.
is it true
And
that
then
pulling my credit for approval hurts my score?
pulling your credit for approval, yes. If whatever you are doing, if it's for a credit card, car loan, or mortgage loan, even each time your credit is pulled, for us at least, from what I understand, it's about a 3 to 4 point there. Sorry. For us, it's about a 3 to 4 point decrease. But yeah, every single time you get your credit pulled by different industries, it's going to ding your credit. Now, the trick is if you are applying for the same thing, so within the same industry, let's say you're rate shopping and you're talking
Mm-hmm.
to multiple lenders at the same time, you can get your credit pulled by different lenders within the same 2 week span, and it won't ding your credit more than once. I've seen this go all the way out to a whole month, but I wouldn't test that just in case, because I have seen people where they're, even though it was within the same month, and some people, I don't know what really goes into it, but somehow it does affect them. So let's just say with that 2 week window, we'll stay safe.
Right? Okay. And I'm sorry, were you saying anything else regarding the student loans?
Yeah, I was gonna mention one other thing. I hope I remember.
Sorry about that.
Oh, no, you're good. Let's just keep going. It'll come back to me later.
Okay, just stop me if you remember regarding the student loans. Okay. So, as far as anything something local, are there any Nevada specific programs that helps with like buyers with lower credit?
So, not necessarily anything for low credit, for example, but if you are a first time home buyer, and even if you're not, and you're hoping to take advantage of down payment assistance, but you
Mm.
don't have a 640 credit score, since that is the minimum credit score that the government assisted programs require, we here at Guild Mortgage have this program called an FHA Zero Down program. And the minimum credit score to qualify for that one is 600. So
Mm.
it is super low, very attainable for most people. And you don't have to worry about waiting until you have a 640 credit score to qualify for that assistance. You can still get it at a minimum 600.
Ooh, love that. So,
Yeah.
Jessica, how does it look like with you helping buyers go through credit repair?
Yeah, so I'm obviously not a credit expert. My niche is obviously mortgages, but I have tools. I have tools that have never let me down up to this day. I've always said sometimes computers are better than just a standard human brain. So what I do is I'll run either a hard credit check, but usually if you have credit concerns right off the get-go, I'm not even going to
Mm-hmm.
bother. I'll just do a soft credit check. A soft credit check will not affect your credit or decrease your credit score in any way, shape, or form. So that'll still give me a peek, a pretty good look at what's on your credit report and what your credit score looks like. I then run that soft credit check through a credit simulator that I utilize. That's my tool. And the simulator, which is the computer, will look at your whole entire history and start letting me know, what options you have to be able to bring up your credit score. If we're trying to be really aggressive, then I'll probably try and get you there in a month or two, right? And that might require more money out of pocket depending on what's going on. But we can always play around with the time frame. So if you tell me, Jess, I'm hoping to buy, but not this year, probably next year, then I would just run a credit plan to see what we can do within a 6 month period, and then send that to you. And it's super spot on. Every single client that actually follows the credit plan to a T always sees the right credit score results. And I've had so many clients take advantage of the credit repair plan and they end up buying. So it's
I
totally
love
doable.
that. Yes, just follow the plan. So, what's one piece of advice you'd give someone afraid to even check it?
Don't be. Really, don't be. The worst thing is sitting in doubt and not ever being able to answer your questions. And the amount of, like I said, the amount of people that apply for a mortgage loan and are worried about their credit score. Some of them even tell me, I know I won't qualify because my credit score is so terrible.
Right.
It's the number is endless. And half of these people actually qualify for a home right away without needing a credit plan. And it's like the happiest feeling because I'm like, well, here you go. So that's what I mean. Don't be afraid. Ask
You
the
never
right
know.
people the questions. Right. Go to the I'm never going to do something that I know will affect your credit, right? So that's where I come with the soft credit check. So if you have
Mm-hmm.
concerns, I don't even need to pull your credit. Why don't you come sit with me? We'll take a look at it together and come up with a game plan together.
Let's do it. And if you're dreaming of home ownership but don't know where to start with your credit, we've got you. Me and Jessica got you. Just DM us credit check and we'll send you over, a free guide and just see what's possible. Definitely no pressure at all. Just see what we can get you started with, right? It's never
Yeah.
too late to just start planning.
And that's the thing, right? If you're actually serious about
Mm.
buying a home, then sitting at home wondering if your credit score is too low, if you don't have the right savings, that's not going to get you anywhere. It's probably just going to stress you out more. So just talk to the experts because we would be able to give you the exact pathway to get there. And now you're not just dreaming, you actually have an action plan.
Yes, let's do it. And I just want to say for anyone watching it now and later, thank you so much for tuning in and thank you for people that have been messaging, also being curious about how the market is, credit and all that stuff. Based on those questions, this is how we're able to do our lives and answer those questions on live. But if you have any other questions that you want some answers, just comment below or even just DM us. And if you're ready, just DM credit check and we'll get you going. Do you have any
Oh,
other final thoughts? Go ahead.
that was perfect timing. Yes. So the student loan thing came back.
There you go.
So I told you it would come back when I'm not thinking about it. So with student loans, if you have deferred student loans and they're deferred for a certain amount of time, we don't actually necessarily have to count a payment towards them. So it just depends on how far out that student loan is deferred for and the type of loan program you are going to qualify for, since every loan program has different requirements. Some are a little more forgiving than others. So that's just the one bit that I forgot to mention.
There you go. So if you have student loans, don't be afraid. We'll walk you through it. Jessica will walk you through it, and we'll go from there. All right.
Yeah.
Well, everybody, happy Wednesday, Woman in Business Wednesday. Thank you again for tuning in. Till
Thank
next
you.
time.